Do you want to get rich in real estate? Well, one of the things that you need to understand is how to buy amazing deals. I'm telling people to stop thinking about good, stop thinking about great deals, and really concentrate on creating the deal of the decade. 2025 is going to go down as a horrible housing market. If you are paid on a drip or a transaction, it is going to suck. It is going to be the hardest year yet. In fact, the only people that are going to win in 2025 are the real estate investors that do deals of the decade. If you're going to do the deal of the decade, one of the tools that you must understand is something that Velocity Mortgage offers called 90% CLTV. We affectionately call it the 50-40-10 because it provides the utmost flexibility, the best rates, and the ability to get amazing deals. Let's talk about 90% CLTV, 50-40-10 with its co-creator, Mr. Stephen Dow. How you doing, sir?
Kind of caught me there with the co-creator part. I'm doing great, man. And yourself?
I'm doing well. Do the marketing spiel so we get it out of the way, and then we will tell people about this amazing tool, its flexibility, and why it is so powerful for the year of the investor.
Well, again, although I work very happily for Velocity Mortgage Capital there. Velocity.
Look at you. That says 2017 President's Club, baby. Are you living in the past?
Well, no, that's just the one that it's. I've gotten so many President's Club shirts. I got enough to wear a different one
once a week.
Day.
I got you.
Yeah. So tomorrow 2018, the following 2019, 2020. Yeah. So
I feel you. Well, let's talk about this 90% CLTV loan. This is something that was not available to me in the last crisis. It is today, and we're gonna go slow and steady on this one.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I think is really powerful for investors is it's the only loan product that I know of today that will allow you to get into an asset, whether that be a house, a quad, or an apartment building. Don't sleep on apartment buildings, for 10% down. That's just wild for me to think about. So can you confirm that fact that the 50-40-10, the 10 stands for down payment?
Yes. Although I work very happily for Velocity Capital, all the ideas and topics discussed on this channel, that of my own. As far as the 90% CLTV, that is something that we do allow. So where I might be maxed at anywhere from 70 to 75% loan to value on my first mortgage, that would allow, typically in the case of a purchase, if the seller had enough equity, they can carry a small second behind my first to a maximum combined loan to value of 90%. That would allow the buyer to only have to come in with just the remaining 10% down.
And why is this important for investors in the year of the investors is, again, a lot of us don't have endless piles of cash behind us. So if we can find the motivated sellers, the equity position correct, we could do multiple transactions by putting 10% down. That's the key to this and why you need to understand it. The next thing I think about when I think about the 90% CLTV or 50-40-10, as we call it, is it gives people, buyers, investors, options. I strongly suggest investors in the year of the investor learn how to do the following 3 offers. Here is a cash price. That is very likely going to be your lowest number. Here is a fully financed piece with traditional lending. But then let's do the 50-40-10. And if you do the 50-40-10 correctly, you can give the seller a higher price, and you, the borrower, can get what's called a blended interest rate below market.
Right. At 90%.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. At 90% leverage.
And again, I think it takes more of a meaningful conversation to have people kind of understand that concept of, reallocating the leverage position. And so that the blended rate, or I should say the weight of the loan is spread out to where now you're blending the rates together so that the overall payment is actually lower, but actually at a higher leverage position. So people don't quite understand.
Higher price to the seller, better leverage, higher leverage for the borrower, lower blended interest rate, aka more cash flow.
Right. So again, to use an example, why we bring up the 50-40-10, that's the concept of structuring the financing in that way so that we can optimize the best rates. Because at 50% LTV on my first mortgage, that would allow me to offer you my lowest rates. And then if the seller can carry the 40%, buyer comes in with 10. So to just kind of give you an idea on the residential side, we're at about 7.865 ish on the first,
Sure.
on a residential property at 50%. I've seen and have done seconds where the seller carried a 10-year balloon at 1% interest only.
Yeah, and when you do the math first, let's just say it's at 8%. Again, I'm just doing this for easy math. And let's say
Right.
the second is carried at 2%. Realize that 80% or 50% of the debt is at 8, 40% of the debt is at 2. That's going to smash the interest rate together just off the top of my head, something with a 5 handle.
Right.
Where can you get a 5 handle
At 90%.
on an investor loan at 90%? You can't. This is why in a market with less demand, more supply, more motivated sellers, you cannot sleep on the 90% CLTV. It is going, I am convinced there are people out there today that are going to buy apartment buildings, $1 million apartment buildings with a 50% first, a 40% second, and 10% down. That day is coming.
If we can set up that way, Mike, this is where my pride starts to shine, because if we're doing a 50% LTV first on a $1 million property, the loan amount is at $500,000. There's no DSCR.
Oh, no DSCR. No.
This would be a no ratio loan on an apartment building, right? 10% down.
That's just crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So there's a lot of little levers you could pull with our product, given the circumstances, the strategy for the property, and the resources available for that particular property. So, yeah, it's fun and exciting.
Yeah. So now, so when I talk, again, I really want people to realize 2025 is the year of the investor. The more experienced, the more skilled you are, the better deals you're going to do. Give a shout out to my school community, join school, $20 a month, 67 cents a day. This is where we talk about that stuff. But more importantly, as a new investor, you have 2 jobs today. One is to learn about the 50-40-10. There's an email on the screen right now, sdao, D-A-O, @velocitymortgage.com. Email them, start the conversation. But second, and I mean this, your job is to go out and learn how to pitch seller financing. As you said earlier, you alluded to, these 50-40-10s, these 90% CLTVs don't just come raining down from the heavens. They have to be made. They have to be cobbled together. The seller has to trust you. They're taking a 10-year balloon perhaps on 40% of the debt or 40% of the equity.
Right.
So again, understand you have to talk about this. Higher price. Tax advantages. Maintain, cash flow. Right? Secured position. There's just so many things that you have to get comfortable talking about. But yeah, I'm convinced the year of the investor, the deal of the decade for a lot of people that watch this will be because of the 90% CLTV. It's just how it's going to go.
Well, I mean, I'm actually seeing a lot of interest where people actually do inquire and say, hey, I've got, a seller that said they're listening there, potentially seller financing available at a certain percentage and at a certain leverage. And so then I'm always thinking, well, if they're going to carry, 100% of the financing, but at a higher rate, maybe if they're going to have to carry less, you can negotiate a lower rate. And so then it's kind of like a give and take. So I've had people now telling me about listings that show seller, potential seller financing or a portion of it, things of that nature. So I think sellers are starting to kind of come around to that idea and start to understand that. But now they can find an investor partner along with that. Now they don't have to carry as much.
Yeah. So let me kind of state this. Here's an action item for folks. So A, to your point, you could probably add to your search seller financing or owner carry. That's just some words that you can add to that. But more importantly, you have to be comfortable at building relationships. You have to you should practice the talk track. Why is it tax savings? Talk about that. It's an installment sale, depreciation, recapture. All of these things are delayed. Talk about, hey, I can actually pay more if we can, transact it this way. It's good for me. It's good for you. What do you think? Right? There's it's
knowing what buttons to push, given
the
information that you're reading. Read the room. You know what I mean? If you're looking at a listing that's been up for 6 months and he's had a couple price drops, you could probably throw in a little ball offer. You know what I mean? But then maybe meet them halfway and then kind of like, hey, I feel your pain. Instead of getting, a bunch of low ball offers, what if I give you your price? What if we could sell right now? But here's what I need from you.
Yeah, I would tell people, and again, I know people are listening because they're texting me all the time, or I shouldn't say texting, they're DMing me all the time. I would get really comfortable at writing 2 offers. I would write one cash, stupid, disrespectful offer and
Right.
then I would write a 90% CLTV. Because what will happen, I have done this, is people will try to like smash them together, and that's at
Yeah.
least starts a conversation.
Right.
Like, why can you pay several $100,000 more for my apartment building
Right.
with this offer? Tell me what is in this offer that I don't understand.
Right.
That's the conversation you want.
I agree. I agree. And that's kind of one of the number one questions after we go through all the details. Like, oh, that sounds interesting. Okay, but do you have any literature on how to, I'm like, not really, because it's
This is
like
what
case
we
by case.
created. This is two
Right,
guys in
right.
the business created it. Yeah.
Right, right. And so it's just knowing the tangible benefits for both parties, as so that now you know why, what each party is motivated to do and why. So on the seller side, obviously, he wants to sell now, sell
Right.
at its price or maybe higher, right? For the buyer, they want something that could pay potentially cash flow, even with the 10% down, so it's kind of figuring that kind of middle ground to kind of win-win for everybody.
I had not thought about doing this, but I'm going to put you on the spot. You can feel free to punt it. You don't have to reply. I'm going live with my school community this Sunday at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you're doing this Sunday. I think it's 10 o'clock for you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you mind joining me and we just make that discussion, at least the first 30 minutes, about this? And more importantly, allow people from outside, in the school community to ask questions. Would you be available? If not this Sunday, maybe next Sunday?
Yeah, no problem. I won't volunteer at the local
Stop. You're going to skip out on the soup kitchen? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, that's okay. The homeless doesn't need to eat that day, I think.
Come on.
They got 6 out of 7 days of a good meal, so I think, yeah.
Stop.
I won't volunteer at the soup kitchen and at the local adoption board and yeah, the animal shelter. That's okay.
Stop it.
You're fine.
So can I count on you this Sunday? So that's like 2 or 3 days away.
Sunday at what, 10? You said?
It'd be 10 for you, yeah.
Oh, 10 for me, but 8 for you.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I could probably swing 10. And it's not like ongoing though, right?
No, just this one time. I want to record. Again, we haven't done it in a long time where the audience asks you a question. We're so used to this. Okay. I want to get outside voices asking questions so we can record. Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh,
just because you're miking for your people, I mean, dude, the ORAT community is so awesome, Yeah. So yeah, anything we can do to help out, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Sunday morning, 8 o'clock in. If you're a part of school, you're going to write your questions down because you're going to be able to ask him. And we're going to go
have a notebook and a pen because I talk fast.
There you go. Exactly. Where can people reach out and just start the conversation?
Email is going to be best, as you can see down there, sdow@velocitymortgage.com. In the subject line, please put the acronym ORAAT. That helps to get you past the firewall. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck in quarantine. The body of the email, brief description, what you're looking for, phone number to where I can call you back is going to be best so that we can reduce the back and forth emails. Otherwise, mid-FICO score, address are going to also be super helpful up front, so I don't have to, again, go back and forth. But otherwise, yeah, typically then within 24 hours, I'll be in touch. If I reply back and you have my phone number and you're waiting for me to call you, sometimes it's best to just call me because sometimes I can't even schedule calls because I'm just like juggling. So if I reply back and you see my phone number, feel free to call me as soon as you can. Yep, at your earliest convenience.
All right, family. I really appreciate you saying yes to Sunday. That was totally not planned, or else I know,
Mike. You know you're doing.
Yeah, I knew what I was doing. I knew how to get commitment.
Spot on live camera. Yeah. Oh, Steve, now that you're live, what do you say that? You
got to close to get the yes answer, man. Come on.
I get you, buddy. I get it. No worries. We'll see you Sunday.
See you Sunday later.